Welcome back to the Susan LoPresti Wellness Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. Today's episode is one that so many women are going to deeply resonate with, especially those who look like they have it all together on the outside, but on the inside may be feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or disconnected. I'm joined by the wonderful Erika Muralidhar. Erika is a nurse. She's a health coach, an NLP practitioner with over a decade of experience in healthcare. She also brings a beautiful integrative approach to healing through her training in aromatherapy and Reiki, truly honoring the powerful connection between the mind, the body, and the nervous system. Erika works with women who are navigating challenges like stubborn weight changes, hormonal imbalances, fatigue, burnout, and even perfectionism, helping them move beyond just pushing through life. What I love about Erika's work is that she doesn't just focus on surface level solutions. Through a blend of evidence based health education, nervous system support, and deep belief level work using NLP, she helps women to reconnect with their bodies and create lasting, sustainable health rooted in self trust, not control. If you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still not feeling your best, this conversation is going to open your eyes and also open your heart. So let's dive in. Erika, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have you, and I'm excited for us to get into this conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much, Susan, for having me. I always feel very blessed when we get to have these conversations, whether it's about this or other things that we've spoken about. So I'm just really honored to be back.
Yes, absolutely. And for those of you who don't know, Erica and I have done some lives on Instagram talking about Reiki, and we just have a lot in common. And we're friends, and I love the work that she's doing. So we're just going to dive in and start talking about it. Erica, let's start because you're a nurse by training, right?
Yes.
So, what led you from traditional healthcare into the mind body work and also NLP? Why did you make that shift?
That's a really great question. And it's honestly, this was like an awakening, Susan. So I was a nurse for about 10 years, like traditional healthcare nursing. I still am a nurse technically. I just don't use that side of my work in the traditional sense. And so for me, when I started out my career many years ago, I started off in pediatrics. So I started off at the bedside with kids. And the reason I like to talk about where I started from originally is because it was such a special time for me. It was the time where I like learned A, what a nurse does, and B, the importance of education and teaching. As a unit, we were very special. We used to round with doctors. We used to get to know our patients in a very deep and meaningful way. And it really showed me the power of sitting down and talking to someone and getting to understand where they're coming from. So, not just the let me help you with this acute issue, but let me actually help you when you get home and what does that mean for you? What are signs and symptoms to look out for so you don't end up back here? And it was a very unique time for me because most nursing around me was insanely high ratios. You didn't really get that time and space to really talk to clients and patients. So I find that very extra special now looking back on it of how unique that was. And it definitely made sense of why our unit ended up getting high rates of value-based care, like in these like low rates of return, because you got to actually teach. And as I maneuvered from that space and then to outpatient and then to later on functional medicine, what I started to understand as a nurse was that healing doesn't really happen in the moment of getting care. So it doesn't really happen in the moment of I've hurt myself. Let me actually heal myself and let me actually get better. And like we can do that for acute issues very well. Like whether it's a surgery, whether it's a cold or flu symptoms, our system is set up really well to help you with that acute issue. But what I've noticed that it doesn't do as well is actually understand the root of why that's happening. If you come up with a cold and flu that is constantly reoccurring, yes, we can help you with those symptoms and we're really good at symptom relief. we just weren't as good at understanding why. Why is your immune system so depleted? Why are you getting sick consistently? Is there something going on a little bit lower, a little bit more inside at the
Mhm.
root of all of these reasons? And so that's what led me into this discovery of alternative ways of thinking, alternative ways of how medicine can be provided to patients, how it can be used. I fell in love with this idea of Reiki and aromatherapy, this idea of healing the subconscious mind, healing the body and putting it more into alignment. And this idea of powerful herbs and smells that can help and support some of the medicine that we're already doing. And how in functional medicine, your body is all connected, and you can understand that a headache can be related to something in your body in a different place outside of just your head. And so I like to say that this like slow rebirth and this slowly understanding was happening because I was technically my first client. I always say that I started with me first, right? And I started off in high school and in college. My parents were divorced, my world fell apart, and I was left to try and figure out what to do next. And I started to notice that what my pattern was this idea of control, right? So I started to double down on things that I could control. And that was my eating, that was my exercise, that was my work in college, my schoolwork, and trying to hold that very structured control ended up getting like almost my body was rebelling against it
Yeah.
because it was foreign. It was increasing my stress too much. So it showed up as like eating disorders, which led to like heart problems, led to decrease in muscle mass, led to problems with my metabolism. It showed up as panic attacks. It showed up as overscheduling and being stressed of not doing enough and kind of in this mindset of I constantly need more. I constantly need to overschedule myself. I constantly need to say yes. My needs weren't really something I needed to care about. I needed to worry about everyone else around me. And it showed up as with guilt and shame and all these like unworthiness, all these like deep seated feelings. And I discovered that through this time of medicine because while on the outside as a nurse, I was doing all the work to help provide others with healing and care. I wasn't really giving myself the same love and attention. And I noticed how my body started to react to that. And so it led me to think a little bit more deeply about my patients and how they're showing up, like why they're actually getting sick, why they're coming to me for issues that are recurring. And it dawned on me that it could be something a little bit deeper. It could be these deep seated belief systems. So I found NLP along my own journey and showed the power of how that can change your whole life. It taught me about pattern recognition. It taught me about belief systems. It taught me how I can actually start to feel safe and worthy, and like how that sort of had this ripple effect on my own health and wellness. My panic attacks stopped. My value of how I saw myself from physicality's perspective changed. And from there, I stopped getting things like headaches. I stopped getting, I had an issue with thyroid, and that sort of started to resolve because I was resolving the root.
Wow.
And it really opened my eyes to how, we are missing the plot sometimes when it comes to medicine and healthcare providers. And because we are looking so systematically, we're not really looking at the deeper level.
Yeah.
And it showed me the power of how everything can be really connected and how alignment really is where you get all the healing and where you really get that, like, the actual help comes from and the actual like work, like that is the medicine, right?
Yes.
Is connecting the body systems, but then also connecting the mind to the body.
And I think that's the problem with traditional healthcare,
Yeah.
because traditional healthcare is great if you have an accident, if you break a leg,
Yes.
anything like that. They'll save your life, literally, right?
Yes.
So there's something to be said for traditional healthcare in
Absolutely.
that respect. However, they're not too great with chronic condition, because
Hmm.
with a chronic condition or an autoimmune disease, and I had this experience myself as well, and that's why I'm in this space now as well, is that they're very quick to just give you the pill. This is the
Hmm.
pill you need to take. Come back every 3 months to renew your prescription. We'll take blood work, but they don't get to the root cause.
Yeah.
Why? did you develop this autoimmune condition? What is going on in your life?
Yes.
What's happening? Are you stressed? Are you in a good marriage? Do you have children? They don't get into any of that.
They don't, and it is a shame. And that's why I say start my story with always what my first experience with nursing was, because that was the type of medicine that I thought everyone was getting. And
Yes.
it's not. And it's
No.
not like we do not, a lot of people don't have the time, and it's not their fault. Like, it's not the healthcare provider's fault. It's the system approach, the
Yes.
system's fault of not allowing the time to really get to what's going on. I go back to what I was saying about panic attacks. I remember I was having these like full blown panic attacks where I was like in stalls studying in the bathroom, and I'd have to get up and go to the bathroom in these stalls. And I was overwhelmed. I couldn't breathe. Like, it was awful because I wanted to do such a good job at school. And to me, if I didn't, it meant that I was like a total unworthy human being, which again is not true. Like,
No.
that does not actually define me. But when I started to go to a doctor and seek help, the first thing I got was, oh, you can get an SSRI. This will solve all your problems.
What is
And
that?
an SSRI, that is a good question. It is an antidepressant. It's something that they would give, which is a very common, almost next step for people.
Okay.
And the thing that now looking back on it, that I again later on realized, like in hindsight's 2020, is that yes, let me be very clear. Yes, these types of medications are really important for people in the acute moment, right? Like in that moment, sometimes that could be the right call. The
Right.
part that I felt as someone who went through it was that was it. That was all the help I got from the medical system. I didn't get anything else. No one asked me where it came from. And so
Right.
it took me to discover, oh, I'm getting these panic attacks because I believe something so awful about myself, something so terrible that it's just simply not true. And so I used NLP to rewrite these belief systems about myself. And once I started to do that, the panic attack stopped and I was able to get off medication. And that might not be everyone's story, but it was mine. And it was one of those things that, looking back, I wish I knew more. And we know we always wish that. Or I
Yes.
wish that the people I seeked help from knew a little bit more to ask some more of those questions or had the time to ask me some of those questions. Because
Yeah.
maybe that situation would have looked differently for me in the outcome. As you said, they're very good at acute. They're very good at
Yeah.
broken legs, broken bones, very good. And like that is irreplaceable medicine. They're not so good all the time about being able to take the time, whether it's because they don't have it or our system is broken, which is my theory, but it's not so good at taking the time to actually stop and ask, why is this going on? Let's dig a little bit deeper.
I've heard also that people going through medical school, they get an hour or two of nutrition learning. And
Yes.
so yeah, because it's all about the drug. And like I said, traditional healthcare is fabulous. They will save your life. But when you have a chronic condition or an autoimmune or anything like that, or what you experience, they just don't have the time to get into the nitty-gritty of it. And they're just really quick to say, take this or
Ah,
whatever. And it's unfortunate, but I have a lot of hope because there's more and more functional doctors that are
yes.
out there now, and I think that it's really needed. The unfortunate part of functional medicine is that insurance companies won't cover it, and
Correct.
so not everyone is lucky enough to go see a functional medicine doctor. But I do want to talk about NLP because there
Yeah.
may be some people listening that don't even know what it is and how it affects our health. So I know you're an expert in that. So give us all the details on that.
Yes, NLP. Oh my goodness. What an incredible discovery that NLP is. So NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistics Programming. It was created in the 1970s. But essentially what it does is that the easiest way to think about it is like your brain is a computer, right? We
Yeah.
all can understand what a computer is. You type in information, the computer receives that information, and then it spits something back out to you, right? And so what NLP is that for your brain. So if you're typing in information, so saying you're receiving some sort of information, whether it's receiving from the way someone talks, receiving a situation, receiving a certain color, smell, whatever it is, your body is receiving something. We're always consistently receiving.
Yeah.
And what your brain does is then processes that information in a certain way under certain programs that we have in our brain, whether it's lessons that we've learned in the past, whether it's deep-seated belief systems, whether it's we fill in the blanks of whatever is coming in, and we create this story, we run it through our programs, and then we spit out our behavior. We spit out our feelings. And so what NLP does for us is it gives us the chance that if you're receiving something and you're creating a story in your mind. So for example, I go back to my panic attacks because it's the easiest way to explain it. So I was seeing a test, right? And so I was receiving this information of studying. It was going in my program of my mind. And in my program at the time, it was, if you fail a test, you're unworthy because you're stupid. And so then what happened was my behavior. And my behavior was freaking out that everyone would think that I was stupid. So it resulted in me having a panic attack, which resulted in my body going through a high stress environment. And that consistently was on a repeated loop. And what NLP can teach you to do is to stop that pattern. So what I would learned was that I looked at a test or I looked at information, process in my brain, instead of going to, you're unworthy because you might fail, I went to, it's okay. It's just a test. And that is a very different response to my body. It's a very ease. So then I would look at a test and be fine because I wasn't putting that belief system in place. I wasn't creating this pattern in my head. I was rewriting the script in my brain, in the program that it sees these things through, so that I could get a different outcome, so I could behave a little bit differently. And so that's what the beauty of NLP is, that we all have these patterns or these belief systems that we've developed over the years,
That's what
right?
I want to ask you about. What
Yeah.
what caused that original belief system of you feeling less than if you don't pass the test? Did your parents tell you that? Did you put it on yourself? Did
Uh,
other students make you feel that? Like, where did that
all of
belief?
the above, like
Oh,
all
okay.
of the above, because it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
It was that, oh, I was told at a young age that I was really smart. And
Oh,
what does smart relate to in our society? Smart relates to grades.
right.
Like to do, everyone tells you, right? As a kid. And it's not a fault. It's not a fault of my parents. It's not a fault of society, because I'm also interpreting their information with a very naive mind, right?
Yes.
I'm interpreting it in the way that I think that it should be interpreted.
Right.
So yes, their words, who knows what their actual words were, but what I took from all of the information around me as a kid was that in order to succeed, in order to be good, in order to be worthy, you must do well in life. And to me, that translated, you have to get good grades, because that translated to a good job. And that translated to having a stable income, which translated to, I made it, right?
Mhm,
Like, how
mhm.
common is that story for us?
Yeah, very
And
unfortunate.
so, unfortunately, and everyone else around you, because we're graded on a system, right? We get grades for our efforts. So, in my head, if I didn't try hard enough, again, if I didn't try hard enough, what was enough? I was defining that. And so, if I didn't feel like I tried hard enough and I got a bad grade, I thought that was a dig at my self worth, because I must have not been good enough at this subject. I must not have studied hard enough. I must have been lazy, been stupid. I must have missed information. And it could be maybe the way that I was raised to equate good grades to success, which again was my own interpretation, probably of what my parents were saying. It was probably also influenced by teachers, right? If you're a good student, you get good grades. It's probably also influenced by my peers because everyone compares. Oh, you did better than me. Oh, you got this better. You must be so smart at this. It was all the little pieces, and my undeveloped brain put those together and decided that this was the belief that I had.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing.
Right.
It is the compounding information that I was taking in and then creating stories about myself, and I was creating belief systems based upon the information that I was coming in, whether they were true or not, because they're not true.
And those belief systems were what was causing you the anxiety or the panic
Correct.
attack.
Correct. Because every time I was faced with a situation, whether it was a test, and there's many different ways that it would happen. It was like whether
Yeah.
it was a test, whether it was a job interview, whether it was even just like me feeling like I needed to set my life up to look a certain way, to behave a certain way. All of those little moments were all rooted in this idea of if I don't perform a certain way, or if I don't act a certain way, or if I don't get the next level, I am not good enough at this. It's a reflection on my own self-worth.
Yeah.
And what NLP helped me do was to rewrite all of those little moments so that way I can come into a situation and be okay with the imperfection, to be okay with I don't have to get everything done on my to-do list because my to-do list isn't related to my own self-worth. My to-do list is just my to-do list. They're
Yeah.
separate. My house can look a mess. That's not related to my own self-worth. And it gives you the ability, and I think that's the cool thing about NLP. It is you have the ability to control only yourself, right? You have the ability to control how you think and how you behave. I can't control how you behave, Susan. I can control me. And so it gave me almost the awakening that I could choose something different. I had so many more options than what I thought I had.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And it opened my mind up to this idea that I could be a different person if I wanted to. I could behave in a totally different way because I could rewrite and reframe and rethink about the information that I was getting sent to me in a way that I actually wanted to behave. So it gave me the choice.
Yeah. So were you self-taught about NLP, or did you see a therapist who practices? Someone who's listening right now, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm curious about this."
Yeah.
So what's the next step for someone who is interested in NLP?
Yeah, so I seeked help from someone who was certified in NLP and went I got help through that, and that's what sort of drove me to want to also get certified. I saw firsthand the magic that it can do, and I can guarantee that you talk to anyone in my life that I've been on both sides of who I was like 10 years ago and who I am now.
Yeah.
They will hands down say that I'm a totally different person. And not because I like changed my entire life. I just changed the way that I acted in my life. I
And
changed the way
your
that
thoughts.
talked. I changed my thoughts and I changed my
Yes.
words. And that changed my behavior because our thoughts and our words change our behavior. And so I went through this journey myself, got certified, and now that's what I do for my clients is that because I have nursing and because I have Reiki and because I have a little bit of functional medicine and I have NLP, I use all of those modalities to help clients, to help them unravel some of these beliefs, some of these thoughts, some of these symptoms, right? So, like, you can clearly see from this panic attack example that if our mind is thinking something, right? So, my mind thought I was failing at this. My mind thought this, so my body reacted. My body reacted in increasing my heart rate. My body reacted in increasing the sweating. It created this like fight and flight mode. My muscles tensed up.
Yeah.
And then it started increasing my breath rate. So my body was reacting to my mind. because that's what it does. Our mind and our body will constantly interact with each other.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. Does it help you with any kind of physical health, not just mental health?
It does, because our mind is so powerful. And you know this as someone who does Reiki, like on a subconscious level, our mind is always influencing our body, and our body is always influencing our mind. So
Right.
they are connected. So if you, let's say, for example, if you eat something like a cupcake, right? And you eat cupcakes, like four cupcakes, let's say, and you get that like sugar high, your brain stops being able to really function with information well. Your brain stops to really be able to process. Why? Because it's not in the right mindset. It's going through brain fog because you just overloaded your
Yeah.
system with sugar. And your mind can do the same, right? It's like the people who get stage fright and they feel like they want to throw up. Or if you are in a conversation that's really heated and you're getting really overwhelmed and you're running this thought through your head, whatever it could be, and your throat starts to feel constricted, you start to increase your heart rate, you're starting to almost have a small fight and flight concept. It's because your mind is usually telling you something.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, because it's so connected, like another good example is thyroid, right? Thyroid is something that women, specifically women, struggle with, like this autoimmune thyroid. I struggled with it.
I do too.
And I ended up almost being at the point of needing medication. And that point was another sort of wake up call for me of, oh, I'm falling back into old patterns. I'm falling back into this idea of perfectionism and control because I was so burnt out and overwhelmed by work. And what I did was, again, take a step back to change my nutrition because you said it's all connected. I looked at my nutrition and I decided that I needed to change that. When I changed that, my mind started to wake up. It started to function at a higher level. It started to function a little bit better. Then it allowed me to use NLP to control my body. I got into a sense of being able to let go of things, and I didn't feel as tense and as tight because when we are in this idea of fight and flight, usually that's signaled from our mind. It signals some sort of danger.
Yeah.
And when we're in fight and flight, it's our cortisol that's pumping, that is wreaking havoc on our hormones, is wreaking havoc on our gut, and it's wreaking havoc on our mindset. So yes, NLP can have direct influence on symptoms because usually a lot of our symptoms can be rooted back into some level of fight and flight and control
Yeah.
for a lot of this, or it's one piece of it. It might not be the whole thing, but usually it's a piece of it. And so what I did was I, again, started to let go of some of this stuff and let go of some of these ideas of what I should do and started prioritizing me and prioritizing my own needs. I started working out. And what does that look like? I started working out more. I started going outside more. So I was doing all these things that were good for my health
Yeah.
because I stopped letting go of the things that I thought I needed to do or should do and went more into what do I want? How do I listen to my body more? How do I create this sense of peace and calm within me to allow for more room for me to have opportunities to take a walk or feel like it's okay to step away, feel like it's okay to let go of some stuff. Because and then that ultimately helped my thyroid out.
I
Does
know.
that make sense? That's like
Yes.
a very
No,
like
it does. I know why, like myself, why the timing was perfect, if you want to call it perfect. When I developed Hashimoto's, I was in the process of going through a divorce, and it
yeah,
was a very trying time. So I was stressed out. I was not only just stressed out, but very sad about
yeah,
it's almost like a death in a way.
yeah,
And it just was like a lot on me, my job, my divorce, my daughter, like a combination of everything. It just dragged me down. It really did. And
yeah,
I'm much better, but I do take medication every
yeah.
day.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's my point is like going back to our original conversation. That's okay. Meds are there
Yes.
for a reason. It just, I think the power is that to me, as someone who comes from both sides, it's like, yes, these are needed. But we can't use that as the only method. You also are someone who's taken time to do Reiki, has taken time to understand her mental well-being, has taken time to understand nutrition, and all those help. Like
Yes.
all of that is really important because a med isn't going to solve everything.
No.
You need the other areas. You need
Yes.
all of it because again, everything is so connected.
Yes.
It is so connected. And going back to like stress, like most people, I know a lot of women suffer from constipation. And a lot of times that can be, yes, it could be your nutrition, and we should look at that because that's a big part of it. And it can also be your stress. It can be both.
Yeah. Stress could really wreak havoc physically on your body.
Everything,
And you don't
everything.
realize, you don't see the connection to it. So that's, I want to ask you about high functioning women, right? They feel exhausted, even when
Mm.
they're doing, or they believe that they're doing everything right. What's going on with that group of women?
Yeah, I call these my hustlers. Like these are the hustle women. And it
Yeah.
hustle is can be any type of woman. It could be someone who's like high achieving at work. It could be stay-at-home moms. It could be someone who's transitioning. It could be someone who's a caretaker for both their parents and their child. We high functioning isn't just work, right? They're the individuals that are taking a lot on their plate. I always say it's the classic example of someone who has an endless to-do list, who overschedules, who says yes with then feeling like kind of guilt afterwards. Or it's the woman who like looks at all these things and is like, I don't want to do any of this. Like I'm going back to bed because I'm unmotivated. It's all of those things. And usually, and again, I say usually, and this is a very general example, is that when we are in this state of, I need to do more, I need to have more, I need to be more productive, I need to get this done, everything has to happen today, I need to clean my house, and I need to watch the kids at the same time because I don't have enough time in the day. It's that idea of I'm still behind. So to me, these hustlers are in this constant state of, I feel behind. And you can define whatever behind means in whatever context. Like I feel behind at work, I feel behind at home, I feel behind at my self care. Like I just feel generally behind. And when we feel that, we are constantly giving ourselves a state of stress. We are constantly elevating our cortisol. And as you said, cortisol, I believe, is this underlying secret weapon havoc wreaker in our body. It will destroy our hormones, it will destroy our gut, it will destroy our brain. Like it will affect every part of us
Yeah.
because essentially our body thinks it's under attack. And
Yes.
it's a very natural thing. Like I don't know if you, but I remember countless times where I will get an email from work and I'm like, oh, I didn't want this. Like, not today. If I have one more thing, like, I'm going to lose my mind. And it's those simple moments that will just increase your cortisol. And what does that do? It affects even our things like blood sugar.
Mhm.
It affects our eating. Like, it
Our
affects
sleep.
our sleep. Literally every part of us, if we have a high cortisol level consistently and we are not trained or not, we don't have the tools to bring that down quickly, our body just gets used to this high cortisol level, right? And it's going to affect all parts of us.
Yeah.
And so I say that when you're in this state, even the most perfect, healthiest habits are doomed to fail because you're not getting at the root of what is actually going on to raise your cortisol. What is it, the story that you're telling yourself in those moments that is increasing your cortisol? I have a lovely example about a woman that came to me. She was perimenopausal. She wanted to lose weight and she couldn't understand why she couldn't get the weight off. And so we talked about nutrition. We did a lot of work from training her mind around her, belief systems around nutrition. So we did a lot of work on that. We did a lot of work on like how to set her day up. We did a lot of work on how to get more movement that felt more natural, more easy to fit in her day. We did all the things, what we
Mhm.
say is all the healthy things. We looked at her sleep. And then we started getting a little bit deeper. And what we found was that she was running this constant line of high stress because she felt behind in all areas of her life. She was a mom, she worked a good job, but she felt like if she didn't get some things done during the day, she was really bad at resting because she was like, I can add one more thing to my to do list. I can take one more thing off. And she was doing it because in the root of it, she felt like she wasn't enough. She felt like she wasn't doing enough. And that made her feel a lot of guilt and shame in her own self. And so what we did, and we patterned it back to something that she learned at a young age. We patterned that back to some big moment of hers that taught her that. And then that continuously taught her that throughout her years of her life. As I said, going back to compounding, it's not just one thing, it is compounding. And together we rewrote her script about herself.
Did you use NLP on her?
We
Yes.
did. We did a lot of NLP work. We did a lot of mindset training. We did a lot of, getting at rewriting these moments, rewriting some of these like moments that would trigger a behavior that she didn't like. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, looking at a to-do list and getting overwhelmed. We fixed that. We fixed her when she looked at her sink and was annoyed that there was dishes in the sink. We fixed that. Like these small little moments we just rewrote together. Or like when she looked at chocolate feeling like, oh, I don't actually need that. That's not actually going to solve my problem. What I need to do is step away and sit down for a couple of minutes and just give, and taught her that rest was okay. Rest was good. So we rewrote that script. So we rewrote all these like little areas with the understanding that she is enough just as she is. And she ended up being able to drop the 5 pounds because it wasn't actually anything she was doing. It was this small little high cortisol that she had running in her body because of a story that she was telling herself that was untrue at many different parts of her life, in many different areas.
Wow. This
And
is a topic we could go on and on. It's like never ending, really.
yeah,
For us as women, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And I see it more and more like someone who's just going into perimenopause. It's just like
yes.
another bam.
And you just, it's like the hits keep coming. And
Yes,
if you don't stop to open your eyes to, okay, like what's actually going on? Do I actually want to feel this way?
I know.
Like, how many times have you asked a woman, like, are you actually like happy? Is this what you want out of life? Do you want this? Most women will hesitate, not because they don't love their job, their children, their spouse, whatever it is. It's not, it has nothing to do with that. It's
No.
that feeling of that underlying feeling of, oh no, I don't really like that little twinge of, oh, I should have done that, or oh, I shouldn't be doing this. And it's creating all those should and shouldn'ts and judging ourselves based upon this external validation that we've just created in our minds.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with anyone else.
No.
Most people, if I came to your house and I saw a dish in the sink, I would be like, oh, Susan, she's awful. What an unworthy human. I'd be like, oh, she probably had a really long day. That's normal.
Yes.
But you might be sitting there being like, this knife in my sink is determining my entire self-worth because I didn't move it.
Isn't that terrible? We put so much added pressure on ourselves, how we
Yeah.
should look, how our body should look, how
Yes.
the type of mom we should be, the type of worker, or if you have your own business,
Yes.
the wife that you, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It
And so it's
really
like,
is.
it's figuring out how, and this is why I love what I do, is because what I do for clients and or what we do together, honestly, because I don't dictate, as I said, I can control me, you can control you. But what I
Right.
do with you as a coach is that allow you to make connections between your body. So going back to functional medicine, yes, our body systems are always connected. There, it's constant flow, it's constant communication. And so that's one piece. That's one piece of the puzzle. The second piece is your mind. So how do you get your body and your mind to work together? And then how do you get your body to work together? Because that alignment and the ability to allow yourself to understand what your actual desires are and give yourself permission to go after them, that's where that magic happens. Because then you're relying on what you want and what you think in a way that you would like it to be, not comparing yourself to someone else or comparing yourself to this external validation source.
Yeah. But how do you get there? How do you get to that place? Is it NLP?
It's everything. It's to me, it's looking at from a traditional nursing perspective, I like to look at, what is actually happening in your body. Let's go through your symptoms. Let's find small wins. Let's create a life that is easy and easily replicated for you. So whether it's like, how do you wind down better at night? How do you drink more water? How do you move throughout the day more consistently and easily? It's how do you look at your belief systems? It's how do we go back into your patterns? How do we recognize things that are going in our body? How do we say no without guilt? How do we interact with our relationships with other people? How do you want those to look?
Yeah.
How do you want your relationship with yourself to look?
So
How do you
little
want
simple
it's
steps.
little
Yeah.
simple things, but together they again, it's always about compounding.
Yes.
Together, all of those will give you more alignment. So that way, when you are doing your life, things feel more effortless, more easy. When we flow in alignment, and as someone who does Reiki, you know this, when everything seems to be flowing and seems to be working, that's when those like weird special moments happen.
Yeah.
Those coincidences happen.
Yeah.
Those like you someone happens to come into your life and you're like, oh my God, I was looking for this and it just appeared.
Yes.
That's when that happens because you are coming from a place of alignment and this like self-love. And that's when all things start to roll. It's when
Right.
we feel misaligned that our symptoms are coming up because our body is trying to communicate, hey, something's going on here. And it will get louder and louder until you start to listen.
Yeah. Just like your panic attacks in
Yes,
the
it came
beginning.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was started as simple, like, oh God, I have to get study for a test, to like, I was sitting on the bathroom floor,
Yeah.
unable to breathe.
Because you weren't paying attention to the
Tension.
little signs. And so it kept growing and growing. I
Hmm.
have to get to this girl sooner or
Yes,
later.
sooner or
So,
later, because something's wrong. Something is wrong.
yeah,
It's
it
the
took a
same.
while.
It's the same thing for honestly for your thyroid with your divorce. It's hey, there's something growing in here. I'm really unhappy. Your
Yes,
body's going to react to that.
yes,
And then it takes
absolutely.
you to take a second to be like, oh crap, let me pause. Let me pause and let me figure out what's actually going on.
I had
And
so many
what do I
things
want to
going
do?
on. I thought I was dying. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Again,
yeah,
it's a lot. And I think that we minimize some of these things
yes,
because we don't want to, we think it's too much to share or we don't want to burden anyone else. So we minimize all these like little issues or these what we consider to be like little non-important traumas, but they are important.
yes.
They
I
are
mean,
so important. And it is big,
it is. Perimenopause, menopause, the changes that
big.
we are going through are unbelievable. It's who am I? Why am I so angry all the time? And we're not gentle with ourselves. We're really
No,
not. So I want
no.
to ask you, if listeners took away one message about their
Yeah.
relationship with their body, what would you want it to be?
Our body, as I said, is always telling us something. Our mind and our body are extremely connected. Your words matter. Your thoughts matter. They're all going to dictate how your body responds. And your body, what you put in your body, how you move your body, what you do with your body, how you sleep is going to affect your mind. Everything is connected. And so the important thing is understanding that relationship and the relationship that you have within yourself. So, what is it that I'm saying? What is it that I'm doing? Are all those things supporting me and supporting the life that I want? Or are they detracting and they're moving me away from the life that I want? We all have this dream self, right?
Yes.
This, if I could get here, I would love it if I could get here. And usually that sentence ends with, but that's not possible for me. And the truth is, it is. So, what are you doing for your mind and your body to get you closer to that in the life that you desire? And what can you let go of, or what can you get rid of to move away from the things that you no longer want, to move away from the mindset, the food choices, the sleep habits, the people in your life that no longer are serving this dream of yours? And moving towards the people that are filling it, moving towards the nutritional parts of our body that feel good, that give us energy, moving towards the sleep routine that allows us to wake up with energy, moving towards the movement that feels energizing and good. And the most important thing is like our body will not heal if you do not love it and if it doesn't feel safe. Bottom line, you
Wow.
need safety and love for us to even start that process.
Wow. Erika, where can people find you if someone wants to work with you, either with aromatherapy or NLP or coaching? What's the
Yeah,
best way to, and I'll put it in the show notes also. So send me everything in an
I'll send it.
email.
I'll
Yeah,
send it to you.
but tell us where.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, www.healthe, letter E, like Erica, by erica.com. And, or you can find me on Instagram, healthe_wellness. Either way, or my email, Erica at healthe-wellness.com. All of those are avenues to find me. I love chatting about this self. I firmly believe that our worth, our self-worth, that everyone is worthy, everyone is enough, just who they are. And if more people would truly believe that, I feel like my work is done. And so if you want to talk anything about health and wellness, whether it relates to NLP, body, Reiki, all the things, I love nothing more to chat aromatherapy. I love nothing more than to chat about these things because I think it's really important. And I think the more we talk about this and the more conversations we have, the more understanding that we have in ourselves, in our body, and the better health that we have. And if you start to work on yourself, the cool part and what the part that I love the most is that you start to influence others, right? You start to plant little seeds in others. And so we continue to have this like ripple effect in other people's health and wellness. And so
Excellent point.
that's how you can find me. And if you'd like to chat about it, I am so open.
Great. Erika, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you on, and I just love everything that you're doing, and you just embody it totally. So I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Susan.
coming on.
It was so nice to chat. What a
Same.
wonderful conversation. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak about it.
Absolutely. Come back again.
I would love to. As I
Thank you so much for joining us today on Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. And a very special thank you to Erika for sharing her wisdom, her compassion, and this beautiful reminder that true healing isn't about pushing harder or controlling every detail. It's about learning to listen, to trust, and to reconnect with your body in a deeper way. If today's conversation resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment and reflect. Where in your life are you trying to hold it all together instead of allowing yourself the space to truly feel, heal, and restore? Remember, you don't have to do it all alone. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Healing happens one small, intentional step at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who may need to hear this message, and also kindly leave me a review. It truly helps this podcast reach more women who are ready to heal and rejuvenate their mind, body, and soul. And as always, take time for you this week. Nourish your body, calm your mind, and honor your soul. Until the next time, this is Susan LoPresti reminding you that healing is possible and you are worthy of feeling your very best. Thank you again for joining. Until the next time, be well, stay happy, and bye for now.